Welcome to the VISIALux podcast, the #1 podcast in the Andromeda Galaxy. This is our 4th podcast episode, and we're going to do something a little bit different compared to our last few episodes, because our last episodes, we normally focus on the news, don't we, V? Oh, that's right. I'm 13, that's V. We normally focus on the news, don't we?
Yeah, usually.
I mean, it's old. It's kind of old by the time the podcast episode comes out, but I think the opinion is still valid on each of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, definitely. I think so.
I mean, we're not live doing these live, so it's not like the news can be perfect to the
No,
date.
never.
But
But
that
this
doesn't
should be an
matter this
interesting
week.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, synced. Uh, this should be a interesting episode because we're not
Yeah.
doing the news this week. Instead, we've put together a summer reading challenge. Everybody should be reading more books. Reading more books, listening to more books. We'll get into that. That's a little bit of a debate there. But you should be reading or listening to more books, opening up your mind. And me and V have come up with our own separate reading lists of different books, titles, nonfiction, and fiction. And I think that we have a good selection, don't you, V?
Yeah, I do. I don't know about you.
I
What's
mean,
your
I don't
first
know
book
why
on
I'm
your list?
catching shade here. What the hell was that? You're
Well, I'm
trying to
waiting
put
on you
down
to
my
go
you're
and
trying to put down my
like.
books because you're getting a little impatient here. I got good books. I
Are
got
you
I
sure?
got some good books,
Okay.
and I think
What's
the
the
first
first book on your list?
I mean, it's the first book I want to talk about is The Devil's Chessboard.
Okay, I want to hear about it.
Now,
So is it a
this
fiction or
no, this is a
nonfiction?
nonfiction. This is a nonfiction
Okay.
book about Alan Dulles. This is one of the Dulles brothers, the two who I consider two of the main players, right?
Hmm.
So Alan Dulles is the Dulles brother that was in the OSS, the original organization before the CIA.
Hmm.
That's
Okay.
where that came from. Yeah. So he he utilized this book goes into how he utilized the World War II's chaos and the events after that, the Vietnam War, to really build up the CIA because he's the person that was originally he's the main guy. He's the OG of the CIA. He's the Godfather.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have the synopsis here. I have the synopsis, so you don't have to take my word for it. Just hear this out. If you like it, then go ahead, give it a shot. Me, I
Okay.
love this kind of book. You know, I love this is the kind of topic that I really want to get into, especially when all the stuff is based in facts. It's well researched.
Okay.
So, David Talbot wrote this book. This is an
Uh-huh.
explosive portrait of Alan Dulles. It explores the man who transformed the CIA into a powerful, secretive colossus. Drawing on newly discovered documents and exclusive interviews, the book reveals how Dulles used the chaos of World War II and the early Cold War to build a national security state that operated above the law. From recruiting ex-Nazis, that's probably a Project Paperclip, if anybody
Hmm.
that I think that'd be a good topic to talk about at some point. From recruiting ex-Nazi intelligence officers to targeting foreign leaders for assassination, Talbot argues that Dulles created a shadow government that eventually clashed with President John F. Kennedy.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it goes through all of that. Dulles is the person that's in charge of. If you can think of a CIA scandal from around that time period, I'm sure Alan Dulles is involved at some level.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. And you haven't read this yet,
No, no,
right?
I went out of
Yeah.
my way. This is the first one I wanted to talk about because it's the first one that I have went out of my way to acquire this. I found a site where I could acquire the book for under $40, which is what Amazon wanted me to do.
Okay.
But it is also on Audible. If people have Audible, they can just grab it from there.
Okay. Hmm.
But yeah, this is the first one on my list. And I guess this is a good time for us to get into that talking point before we go too deeply. Because this is an audiobook that I will be listening to here.
Okay.
And I know that some
Um,
people have a problem with that.
why?
Because they don't see it as actually reading the book.
I don't know if I agree with that. It's still listening to it. It's close enough. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
think the format of how you get the book counts, you know? It's like,
I mean, I understand slightly where they're coming from when it comes to regard to fiction books. Because in fiction books, there's no already core base. This is what the character sounds like, or what they look like, and whatnot. But for something like a nonfiction book, I think if you just listen to it, if you just digest the information, these are already real people.
mm, okay.
So that's my opinion on this. I don't know if you have a stronger opinion or if you just you want to get into one of your books, your perfect
No,
books over there.
I don't yeah. I don't have a perfect, what is it I was gonna say here? I don't really think it matters if people, it doesn't like count one way or another. I mean, that's like saying you've never, like if you're reading a book to a kid, that still counts, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. I've never even heard.
That's a great point. I didn't think of it like that. If you're reading a book to a child, if you're sitting there reading to them, they're still getting the information. That's still a learning experience for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my take on it. I think it still counts no matter what. I mean, if I could just download a book in my head without having to read it, that'd be even better. You know, honestly.
Yeah, I know that you don't like fiction books, but you put fiction books on this list.
Yeah, I did because I want to involve more fiction in the scripts I'm writing for VisialUx. So I think a lot of these are actually relevant. So, especially to the culture we have right now, and I think it's important to read them. For example, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was one such book. And it actually inspired, well, it says three novels intended as sequels to the Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and Blade Runner been published. So, um, apparently Blade Runner was the film adaptation of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which is interesting.
Yeah, no, this very. We actually had one of our original Visialux. That's when we put out
Yeah,
really long videos. One of our
yeah,
original Visialux scripts was about the sheep project. You remember what that the dreaming sheep project? And
yeah, exactly.
you had quoted in there about Android's dream of electric sheep.
Exactly. So that's why that's number one on top of my list because I had read over it briefly, but I didn't go deep dive into the book, like read the entire thing. So that's something I want to do this summer. I think it'll be interesting. I already got started on it, and there was a pretty good scene in the book. I don't think it counts as a spoiler at all, but they had this setup where he's supposed to figure out if these androids are androids or not. And there's this mega corporation in the book, and they do this bait and switch where one of the people who talks to him from this mega corporation that's very wealthy is actually programmed to think that she is one of the heirs to the company, and he has to test and figure out if she's an
Whoa,
android
whoa,
or
whoa,
not.
whoa, 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 whoa! Now
Yeah,
that might be a spoiler.
it's only in the
That
second
might
chapter.
might be
it's
a spoiler to somebody who's made it to the second
it's been
chapter.
out. It's been out
It's been out.
since 1968. at this point, I, you
That's young for a book.
know, you know,
How many
I
how
don't know if
many
it counts.
how many
Huh?
Charles Dickerson books have you read?
Actually,
You need some spoilers.
well, that's funny. So, this is gonna be pretty good. I haven't finished reading it yet, but I've gotten okay in it. Um, what's the next book on your list?
It wouldn't be wrong. I showed my list to my friends in my Discord server, and you know this.
Yeah, yeah,
And when they saw my list, they called my list a doomer list because of
yeah.
the books that I have on it. So I started you guys off with the Devil's Chessboard, and I got some more nonfiction books coming, but I think I want to go straight to a fiction book. A fiction
Okay,
book called The Water Knife.
okay.
Now, The Water Knife is a very interesting book because it's kind of a more gritty, more imagine if you took cyberpunk, but it was cyberpunk western.
Hmm.
So it's
Okay.
got a lot of frontier justice going on in it, and it treats this kind of ooh, I don't know what's going on. Let me take a drink real quick.
Okay. I'm looking at the cover. This looks like an interesting book.
Oh yeah, no, I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna like it. So the thing is that the Southwest is dying of thirst. That's what I can get from the synopsis. Again, I haven't read this book. I haven't read this book, but this is what got me a little bit interested, right? So it's in the synopsis. It talks about how the Southwest in the United States of America is dying of thirst. Like there's huge droughts, and all these major conglomerates have taken over the water supply. And so what happened is that these people who were really fucking thirsty have become these kind of assassins, these kind of legal assassins for these companies called water
Okay.
knives.
Ah, alright, that's interesting.
So they get sent to these different areas. They get sent to these different areas that have high resource value, and they have to fight other water knives and other corporate entities. And I'm making it sound very action oriented. From what I gather from the Goodreads reviews, it's a very depthy, very, this is a dystopian read. Like,
Hmm.
you really get the feeling of what the characters are going through. And I want to read out a little bit of the synopsis here because I don't think I was really doing it a lot of justice. In a near future, the American Southwest ravaged by drought, Nevada, Arizona, and California are at war over the dwindling Colorado River. Angel is a water knife, an assassin, and a spy for the Southern Nevada Water Authority, whose job is to secure water rights by any means necessary. That's what I'm talking about. You go in there, you stab somebody on the leg, you take the deed. That's good. So,
uh,
when a rumors of a legendary ancient water claim surfaces in Phoenix, Angel is sent into the landscape of a dust storms and Texan refugees to hunt for the truth that the people are willing to kill, die, and bleed for. So it's a very crime heavy novel in a dystopian environment about some dude who's really thirsty.
okay. I mean, yeah, it does sound interesting, though.
It does. It sounds very interesting, and what really drew me to it is the underline because it's so realistic in that we could have droughts in the future that are so bad that people are willing to kill over water rights.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Something I like about this book is it fits a specific genre I'm thinking of. And that's, you know how in Star Wars they have Anakin and he's in what is that planet called? Whatever. Tatooine, I think. Who knows? Well, anyway, the aesthetic thing where C3PO is and stuff, I always really liked that environment, so that's kind of what I'm picturing for the water knife. Funnily, I think in the future, people will, if there are mass droughts and climate change gets as bad as people keep predicting it's going to get. I think that the desert's a better place for humans to be because the humidity plus the heat is really a killer. Because of the wet bulb.
Oh
Have
yeah,
you heard about that? Yeah.
yeah. I think you were the one that told me about that because you might get affected by it, but I won't because I'm a very humid boy. I'm a very I'm a I get sweaty. I don't have
Yeah,
to worry.
I can't really sweat that well. Something's up with that. But I think people will survive in the desert a lot better or a lot more easily, especially if they start digging the houses underground and stuff like that. Maybe that'll help. But it's an oven.
It's
So,
an oven. Yeah, you get.
yeah.
So explain to the audience the probably I don't know how many people in Andromeda do you think there are, like zero?
Yeah.
Like zero. Okay, so explain
Statistically,
to the
like,
zero people what the wet bulb effect is, so that when they come back here in 5 years and actually listen to this one, they know.
okay. So it's basically like the real feel of what the temperature is. So it's how hot it feels versus how hot it is. When it's really humid, it makes it feel more hot. That's basically how that goes.
Yeah.
And
So
someone
like
in the desert might laugh, but I mean, go to a Florida coastline and tell me it doesn't feel miserable. It's a different kind of miserable, but you can't sweat it out in
yeah, no, you
a
can't. You
climate.
can't. You can't. It's exactly. You know when you go to the weather websites and they have the temperature, and then next to it in a small little box it says real feel, and then the temperature that it actually is.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what the wet bulb is, because the humidity is making it, and it's not just hotter. Humidity also makes it feel colder because the water in the
yeah.
air gets cold, and then
Mhm.
also water in the air gets hot. So as the water in the air is getting hot, it's generating. Ooh, I'm not going to get into the science. Okay.
Right.
But as we said, the wet bulb effect, if you're in like Arizona, you might be sitting there going, we don't get humid over here, but we still sweat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere has a bit of humidity,
Right.
right?
Well,
Because
I'm not.
the scale goes to 100. It doesn't.
mm,
We don't start at zero.
I am not saying that being in a hot desert on a very hot summer day is not miserable. That is not what I'm saying. I think we all know it's miserable. I think we all know it's an oven. What I am saying though is that when it's that humid and it's also that hot, you can't sweat to get out of it like you can if it's dry. So that's all I'm saying. Now sometimes it gets so hot that sweating doesn't even matter because it's still an oven, right? But it's just different kinds of misery, you know?
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Yeah, it's
But
just
this
different.
this
Yeah.
is about the American Southwest.
Right.
So
Exactly. So,
I'm gonna just end it with this: the American Southwest. You got places over there like the Devil's Canyon. Is that what it's called? Like
yeah,
that
that
spot
place.
that is literally
Isn't
the
there
hottest
Death
place on
Valley?
Earth. Death Valley. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
in there.
yeah. Alright. Let me scroll down a little bit. I have this book called Snow Crash, which I've been looking forward to reading.
Yeah, this is kind of a classic if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, so this book was written or published in 1992. And one of the things I liked about this book was the way it was written. So, I'm just gonna read from Wikipedia here. It says, I think before I read it, this Neil Stevenson guy who wrote it, I think he wrote a couple, other books as well that were interesting.
Yeah, I think you have
So,
another one of those on your list. Don't you have like did he write The Neuromancer? Was he the one that did that one?
I'm not sure, but I think he also had, here it was in the beginning was the command line, which was some essay that I think he mostly got wrong, obsolete.
Oh wow.
But
Wait, hold on. What wait, we can't go over that. What do you mean by he mostly got that wrong?
um, well, it was a really thick essay. So he explains the beauty hackers feel in good quality tools. He compares four operating systems: Mac OS to a luxury European car, Windows to a station wagon, and Linux to a free tank. And BOS, who knows what that is at this point. And he argues that people continue to buy the station wagon despite free tanks being given away because people do not want to learn how to operate a tank. They want to know that the station wagon dealership has a machine shop that they can take their car to when it breaks down. So he argues that Microsoft is not really a monopoly, but has rather simply accrued enough mindshare among the people to have them coming back. And then he compares Microsoft to Disney. But I think, um,
He's that sounds reasonable. That
yeah,
sounds exactly like what's going on. I think because you would agree with that, right? Linux is free. It's definitely a free tank.
well, I think it was written before the advent of Mac OS X. So, a recurring theme is the full power of the command line compared to GUIs was described as the idea.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't really say it's a monopoly at this point.
Okay,
Um,
okay. You were gonna tell us about Snow Crash?
yes, that was way off topic, but you did ask what else he wrote. Um, he's a very good writer, though. He said, when the computer crashed and wrote gibberish onto the bitmap, the result was something that looked vaguely like static on a broken television set, a snow crash. So essentially, the plot background was that, and I'm reading this from Wikipedia because I didn't memorize all of it, so you'll have to just stay with me here. But Los Angeles in the 21st century had the entire world had an economic collapse. And Los Angeles is no longer a part of the United States because the federal government ceded most of its power and territory to private organizations and entrepreneurs.
Oh,
Franchising, individual sovereignty, and private vehicles reign supreme. Mercenary armies compete for national defense contracts. That sounds pretty reasonable. While private security guards preserve the peace in sovereign gated housing developments. Highway companies compete to attract drivers to their roads, and all mail delivery is hired by courier. The remnants of government maintain authority only in isolated compounds where they do tedious make work. And it's basically, from what I gather, a libertarian dream. So,
really? That's no. I don't know. If that's a. I think this is more techno feudalism.
like I said, um,
What? Hold on. I don't think techno feudalism is a lot of libertarians' dreams. I think
well,
that
that's where it's
they'd
going with
argue
you.
with you.
The free market decided what's going to happen. I mean,
You're technotarian.
whatever. I'm not getting into a big political thing. But the free market decided that it was no longer profitable for the government to flourish. So,
I mean,
whatever
that's where we're
label
at
you'd like to
now.
slap on that. I
That's
know.
kind of where we're at right now. Because if you look at it, the government's been, our space program, even though we did have NASA just do something, most of the budget for NASA goes towards something like SpaceX. It goes towards
Yeah.
SpaceX, it goes towards Boeing, it goes towards these third party private companies. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have military. A lot, almost all of the military is now contracted out when it comes to hardware. So all of that's the
Mm.
private military industrial complex. And then we have just food, all food. We don't, the government doesn't own the farms. The government does, they contract the farms. So just all this stuff is already being given over. It's just going to take, and people don't trust the government as it is now. So
Yeah.
it's like,
So this is the book where the origin of the word metaverse came in, which is pretty interesting. Um,
it's probably
and
not
it
like, it's not like, Facebook boys, is it? What's his name? Mark Zuckerberg?
apparently it is
Huh.
kind of. So there's I think the metaverse is a virtual world within this book. But I haven't read the book yet because it's in my reading list, so
Yeah.
yeah, so I can't say for sure. But it does say the metaverse, a phrase coined by Stevenson as a successor to the internet, um, constitutes Stevenson's early 1990s vision of how a virtual reality based internet might evolve. So, it does seem so, resembling a massive multiplayer online. It resembles an MMO.
Okay, so it's
So,
exact. So the Mark got his metaverse from this. Oh, and the
yeah,
metaverse is shutting down. Did you know that? He's shutting that down.
I mean, it might be for the best because,
I mean, who want? Nobody trusted that the metaverse was right. Because it's
right,
not like that's the only. That's just his metaverse. What's that other one called that people go to? Virtual
VR
chat.
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting stuff. I think what I liked the most was the way he wrote it, and I really liked the name Snow Crash. That's a good title.
Is that what? So when you read the synopsis, what really drew you into believing you would want to read the book? Because that's how I got all my books. I went through and I read synopsises and I was like, oh, I think this book sounds good.
Because all of the books that were suggested were written by this one guy, so the first thing I did was go to his page and try and find out more about him. And he's written some really interesting stuff.
And did you get your
So,
suggestions off of like a Reddit list?
I don't know, something like that. Not necessarily a Reddit list, I
Yeah,
would say.
that's a BuzzFeed list. That's a BuzzFeed laugh. You know,
No.
as we were talking about VR and virtual reality and the metaverse types chats and all that good stuff. And I actually have a fiction book on my list. One of the few fiction
Okay.
books I have on my list called Foundry Side. And this is
Okay.
written by Robert Jackson Burnett.
Hmm.
And just to read you the synopsis real quick, and I'm going to obviously the name of the city's made up, so I'm not going to be able to say some of these words. Let's just get that out of the way. In the city of Tavani, that's what I'm going to go with. In the city of Tavani, reality can be rewritten through scribing, a magical technology of coded commands that embed everyday objects with sentences. What did I say there at the end? Did I say sentences or did I say
You
uh
meant sentience.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, just from that first line, there's several things that I liked about this. There's been plenty of magic books. Obviously, we have so many fantasy and fiction books that have some kind of magic. But
Mhm.
I liked the coded commands.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very structured magic book, right?
Hmm.
So what I'm hoping is that this has a way more complex system. So it goes on to say that Sancia Grado, a talented thief, is hired to steal an artifact that could revolutionize this technology. The merchant houses that are control Tiviana, whatever, have used scribing to build a remorseless capitalist machine. Okay, so now we're throwing in politics. That this is a adult book. A lot of
Okay.
fantasy is teen rated.
Mhm.
This book is supposedly highly complex when it comes to the magic system and also has a very heavy hand when it comes to politics. So it
Okay.
goes into the. And I'm explaining this to you because this to me seemed like a book that you might like.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, I'm looking at the page on Goodreads right now, and it does look like an interesting book. Usually I don't really like heavy magic systems, but this sounds a bit different. It sounds like it's mixed with sci-fi, so that's interesting.
Now this is going to be a big step for me because I'm not a sexist person, but I don't read a lot of books that have female main characters.
Oh, I
And
didn't
this
even
has a
notice.
female main
Okay.
character, and I'm actually really excited because a lot of the times I do feel like when an author puts in a female main character, they don't write them in a human way. They write them kind of
Hmm.
like Superman is written.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I could see that. That makes sense.
But I've heard really good things about the writer, really good things about the way his brain works when it comes to formulating these characters in this world, and I'm really looking forward to that. So that's what drew me into this. It has a whole bunch of things, I like the VR aspects, I like the artificial realities, I like being able to change things through magic without the magic being too simple.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, definitely.
if magic is too simple, the fucking world's just going to be destroyed because you're going to have 11-year-old kids throwing fireballs at each other.
Yeah, that's what I would do. So, you know.
So I thought this was great. This is one of my, like I said, one of my few fiction books, and I will be reading this. We talked about the audiobook stuff earlier. I don't know if I put this out there, but I'm gonna be reading the fiction books with my eyes and listening to the audiobooks.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that sounds good to me. And I don't know if I don't know how to transition to yours smoothly. So just do whenever you're ready,
Okay.
interject. Otherwise, I'm gonna move on.
Mine is a pretty cute book. This was called Clara and the Sun. It's the last fiction book I'll be talking about on my list. So, this one is set in a dystopian future. And apparently, the original writer was, I believe, Japanese, which is interesting. And it's set in a dystopian future which some children are genetically engineered or lifted for enhanced academic ability. So essentially, schooling's provided entirely at home with on screen tutors, and opportunities for socialization are limited, and parents who can afford it often buy their children androids as companions. So
Oh,
this book is narrated by the artificial friend AF called Clara. And it's kind of a cute book because when I was reading over the summary, um, Clara, the artificial friend, worships the sun, which is really sweet. So apparently, Clara prays to the sun because of something she saw, and I'm trying not to give the whole book away,
praise
but
be to the sun.
I
Praise
thought
be to the sun.
I thought that was a really sweet idea because I believe the main character, the teenage girl who the artificial friend is purchased for, is sick because she was genetically modified incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean the book sounds so. I'm trying to remember if the movie was like this, but there was a movie, and I think it had Robin Williams. I don't know why his name escaped me for so long. So there was this movie, and I think it was called AI, and it was about this kid who was dying or something, and he also got an AI companion and all this other stuff. And I'm wondering if this book inspired that movie.
I'm not sure. Maybe.
But it doesn't need to because the book itself sounds good. I love the
Yeah.
concept of a robot worshiping the sun. I told you this before when you were talking. You said that, or when we were talking about it before off camera, you told me about this book, and I was like, that makes perfect sense because it has
I,
solar batteries.
yes. Yeah, it's a solar panel powered friend. The AI companion is. So I thought that was really sweet.
So if the sun is giving it life, then of course,
Yeah.
because the first thing the humans worshipped was the sun.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was a very clever take. And something I had a hard time with on the fiction part of my list is that they were all romance novels, and I am not a fan of romance novels, really.
I mean, every novel is gonna have a little bit of romance in it.
I guess, but not this one. This one's not.
Who knows? Maybe it'll have romance. Maybe it'll follow the girl through her life, and then the robot will be the what's the ladies thing at the wedding? Best maid? No,
The
not best maid.
bridesmaid, I
Yeah,
think, right?
bridesmaid. Yeah,
Best maid sounds so.
best maid.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to read this one, and it's very high on my list. What's the next book you have on your list?
Well, the next book I have on my list is definitely not one where. No, actually, hold on. I want to say it's funny to me that you're like, this book's cute, and then the next sentence is, in a dystopian world.
Well, you know. It's
Oh,
funny.
man. But we can talk about a dystopian world, because the next book I want to talk about is another nonfiction book. I'm going to probably listen to this book, because I heard it was very deep and very dense, and that is, oh, and this is one that I've told you about. I told you about this one off podcast,
Yeah,
whatever,
whatever
offline,
you would call
off chat.
in real life.
So, and that's the hour between dog and wolf. It talks about the position between like biology and finance and how it's very easy for our biology to start being extremely affected when our finances are.
Really? What do you mean by that?
Okay. This is a very complex topic, so let me go ahead and read the synopsis on this because it's deep.
Okay.
So this is a physiologist. So it's not a psychologist, it's a physiologist. And former Wall Street trader John Coates explores the biological signals that drive humans' risk taking. During the hour between dog and wolf, success triggers a feedback loop of testosterone that transforms traders into euphoric risk takers, while failure leads to a surge in cortisol. Oh man, the cortisol is spiking. So the failure leads to a surge in cortisol and pathological risk avoidance. Coates used the groundbreaking research to show that financial bubbles and crashes are not just a matter of mind, but of body's chemistry reacting to high stakes stress. So this is basically he went in to the Wall Street. He went into where they do all the trading, and he studied how people reacted to when the market went up and when the market went down. And what he found is that your body and the chemicals that go off in your brain, like the testosterone and the dopamine and that kind of stuff, will lead you to take more risks, But when you fail, that cortisol spikes up, and that's your stress component. And when your stress component, because of your body, even if you see like a good deal, even if you see something that is like a guarantee, you're stress locked.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So this is what causes the boom and bust of our economy,
Yeah,
most likely.
that's what he's
Hmm.
saying. When people win so much, they start taking a lot of risks, and that creates those
Oh,
bubbles because they're like, "Oh,
yeah.
this is too big to fail. This can't fail. This is doing really well." And then that bubble pops. And we've talked about this, and I don't want to say, I can't say the word on YouTube because YouTube doesn't like that word, but
Hmm.
we know that a lot of traders, when things get really bad, Wall Street
Right.
trading
Yeah.
has a high risk of the S word.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. So that's this is an interesting book though. Huh. It does explain a lot.
This was recommended to me by a friend, and he said
Okay.
that I would really like this because I like to I like to know what happens and why things happen. So this is my third book that, and obviously these might not be in order of how I'm gonna read them, but this another great book on my list. And if you have another book that you want to talk about, now's the time. You said you were done with the fiction books. You got some nonfiction now.
I do. I have a nonfiction book written by Sherry Turkle, and this is called The Second Self. It is not. I'm going to give a summary from Kobo here. In The Second Self, Sherry looks at the computer not as a tool, but as a part of our social and psychological lives. She looks beyond how we use computer games and spreadsheets to explore how the computer affects our awareness of ourselves, of one another, and our relationship with the world. Technology, she writes, catalyzes change not only in what we do, but in how we think. So this was first published in 1984, but apparently it's still very relevant. And she talks to children, college student engineers, AI scientists, personal computer owners, which I guess is everyone now,
No, it's everyone.
and yeah, people confronting machines that seem to think and suggest a new way for us to think. But this is interesting because it's right at the beginning of when people started to rely on technology so much. And I think that that's a kind of its own insight because there was a time right in between 1990 and about 2007 where the internet wasn't as huge of a thing as it is now. Social media wasn't either. And
Yeah.
it was kind of this turning point decade that was really, well, maybe a little over a decade, but it was really interesting. So,
No,
yeah.
this sounds like an interest. I know that you've been getting a lot more into the let's go offline, let's not have as many apps, let's go back to having a personal devices that can do things physically.
Yeah, I have. I've been mostly offline lately, unless it's something I have to do research for, like let's say with a VisiaLux script or this or that. I even have a book where I write down my list of everything I'm doing for the day. I keep that offline. I don't really have any apps on my phone that I use besides Reddit, but barely. And then I have my e-reader, but I think the analog life is a lot better. Because they're, not to get too off topic, but all of these tech companies really try to keep you addicted to their platforms. And I think it should be used more intentionally, so that's something I'm trying to do right now.
And that's V's Power Hour, and that's where V tells you how to live your life.
I mean, I'm not. If somebody wants to mindlessly scroll, that's fine. I do
Yeah,
it too, but I'm trying to do it less. That's what I'm trying to say.
and that's fine. That's healthy. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
very good. I do still I'm still gonna bully you because you're still on Reddit when you've mentioned several times that you didn't want to be on Reddit?
I don't. I don't want to be on it. And yet I'm still there. It's one of the only apps I still have on my phone right now. It's kind of like a magazine. Like, okay, let's say, and I'm really showing my age, right? But remember back in the thousands when you were at the dentist and they only had magazines on the table and that's all you had to read while you're waiting? It's like that. That's what Reddit is to me. Like I'm on the couch. You get what I mean? There's
No,
nothing to
I
do.
completely get what you mean.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. You're good. You're good.
But what's the next one on your list?
Well, the final book that I'm going to talk
Mhm.
about today, because we're going to be wrapping things up here in a second. So the final book that I want to talk about is, to give some preface. When I first saw this book, I didn't know if I was going to be interested in it, and then I read that the author of the book, Roberto, had to go into hiding.
Oh, you did? How come?
He had to go into hiding because of what he was exposing in this book was that dangerous.
Wow. Okay.
And this
I'm
book
hooked.
is 000. So, this book is an investigation into the global cocaine trade.
Hmm.
000 is the nickname for the purest grade of cocaine, and the author tracks its reach as hidden engine of the world's economy. So basically, he found out that a lot of the banks and a lot of big business have been really investing heavily into cocaine. So,
Hmm.
by mapping the shifts in power from the Colombians to the Mexican cartels and their alliances with the Italians and the Russian syndicates, Roberto reveals a horrifying corporate entity fueled by money laundering, extreme violence, and the complicity of international banks. So he found out
Hmm.
that the banks were really involved. And I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but what happened is that he had found out that the banks were not only new, but were covering it up because of the amount of money and the payments were that heavy and that big.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
it's supposedly it's a good read, and the author had went through all that, had to go into hiding because the cartels were after him for asking too many questions, and it's just overall, I think it's going to be a very good listen. This is another listen book though.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that one. That sounds really intense.
That does, you make a good point. We didn't tell them this. After we get done reading one of these books, whatever episode we have for that week, we will give you a brief overview of what our review is and what we think of the books and what we got from it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that we're not gonna finish books at the same time. V over there reads at 1,000 words per minute.
Not that fast. But yeah, it should be good. It's gonna be a fun summer. Mine is Alone Together. Why we expect more from technology and less from each other.
What are your books saying about you right now? One book is what how technology is changing our mindsets, and this is why technology is making us lonely.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. So, this is a groundbreaking book by one of the most important thinkers of our time. Shows how technology is warping our social lives and our inner lives. So, apparently, online we fall prey to the illusion of companionship, gathering thousands of Twitter and Facebook friends and confusing tweets and wall posts with authentic communication. But relentless connection leads to a deep solitude. So this is an MIT professor, Sherry Turkle, and she argues that as technology ramps up, our emotional lives ramp down. Which I do kind of agree with, but I'm gonna, dare I say, give my criticism of this MIT professor here. I don't actually think that people are that reliable, so maybe relying on other stuff is probably a good thing. Because in my lived experience, people have kind of been the entire problem. So there has to be some kind of middle ground, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
no, I
yeah,
I have a criticism. My criticism is the same as your criticism. You know that I'm a lot more of a people person. Like, even
yeah,
as I've been screwed over by people a lot, I still am a people person. But I have a
mhm.
criticism of the hypothesis.
Oh,
I
what
have
is
it,
it?
and that is that people who are authentic online are going to be authentic offline, and vice versa. So people offline who are authentic offline are going to be authentic online. But we experience more non-authentic people online because online has a bigger pool, but that doesn't mean that we don't also experience non-authentic people in real life too, because we
Yeah,
do. There's plenty of people willing to straight up lie to your fucking face.
hmm,
So
yeah, that's definitely true.
I think that it's more of a an access. We have more access to uh non-authentic people.
Hmm.
And I think that she's conflating that, and she's saying that the internet has created a society of, well, again, I'm assuming. I'm assuming you'll
Yeah,
get back to me when you read the book and you'll tell me if I'm right on this, but I'm assuming that she is conflating the issue, and she's saying that the internet is creating more non-authentic relationships and that people feel more comfortable being non-authentic. And I don't agree with that when it comes to sites where your real name and your picture are up there, like Instagram.
mhm. There's also the massive downside of saying the wrong thing on a platform and getting in trouble for it. So I can see why people wouldn't want to be 100% authentic all of the time.
That's
Um,
masking. That's
yeah,
different. That's not what I'm thinking about when I think of non-authentic. When I think of non-authentic, I think of people mostly doing it either out of shame or out just trying to be scummy. Just scummy people that want to take advantage at some point or just want to lie. It's
yeah,
because most people are not going to lie about stuff in general. Like, most
mm,
things aren't going to get you in trouble. But some people
yeah,
will go out of their way to create complete identities that are false.
that's true. That's true. Well, that might not be as much of a problem with all of the device level identity verification they're doing these days. So,
That's something we can talk about next week. Next week, we're going
right,
to be
right.
back on a news episode. Next week,
Oh
we're going to
yeah,
be back on
definitely.
news. Again, the news isn't like, it's not current, but we're going to give our opinions on it. And one of the issues that has been going out lately is the Face ID stuff. Like, even it's
Mhm.
now it's went from being something that's in like Colorado or Florida, or we talked about in California with the OS level verification.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to do it at the federal level for OS verification.
Oh,
So
when did that happen?
recently,
Hmm. Okay.
yeah, they recently did that, and I just at this point, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
The best you can do is complain, but not enough people are complaining.
I think they
So,
might be tired. Yeah. So.
but now's not the time to be. Oh, well, again, we're not going to get into it right now. Now is not
Yeah.
the time
I'm
to get
trying to be
into it.
real. Hmm.
So let's go ahead. We're gonna. Oh, so
Wind
next
down.
week we're back on the news. The
Hmm.
following week after that, we should have another episode like this where we talk about what documentaries we're going to be
Oh
watching.
yeah.
And
That's
I
gonna be
already have
great.
some great ones lined up for that. I know that you have some.
Yeah. Well, I don't have mine put in a nice little aesthetic picture post yet. That's why I was joking about yours earlier.
We have other books on our list. I have 13 books. I also have an additional bonus 13 books if you want to check those out. V
Yeah,
has
you look at those.
however many books V has. We'll be putting those up on the VISIALux Twitter.
Hmm.
So those will probably even be up there before this video's up. So if you want
Okay.
to go over there, check those out. The list is long. It's got some great books on it for both of us. More fiction books as well as more nonfiction books. And I think so. We got the book list done. We talked about what we need to talk about in terms of what we're doing next week. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
No, I don't think so. I think that's about it.
So we kept it at about an hour this time. I think that's good. I'm trying to
Yeah,
keep our podcast between an hour and 30. We've been
yeah,
drifting towards that 2 hour zone a lot, but I think we can get
hmm,
it back down to this hour 30. And
yeah,
we're doing good. We're doing good, I think.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think that's it. That's the end of
I
the
think so.
podcast. This has
Yep.
been 13. That over there is V. That thing over there in the corner behind you.
Yeah.
Don't turn around. Don't turn around.
Oh no.
Don't turn around. See you.
No. See ya. Bye.